guys, and welcome to a new video. I'm here to do my March wrap-up of the month. I did quite a bit better than in February for sure, so I am pretty pleased about that. There were a couple of readathons that I participated in, if I can remember which readathons it went to what. I'll mention which books those were, but I'll just go ahead and get started. I have Goodreads pulled up on my phone, that way I can remember what books I read when. And the first one being House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This was a reread for me. This was the second time I read the book. I first read it around the same time last year. I still gave it 5 stars. Usually when it comes to rereads, I don't tend to change my ratings all that much. But I still really did enjoy the book, and we read this as the February and March pick for the late night bookworming book club. The lives for that have already come and passed. The part 1 was on my channel, part 2 is on Hope's channel, which it's Hope's Books. So if you're interested in a recap of those lives, you can go back and watch those on our channels. But I really did enjoy this. I reread this for the book club, but also in preparation of reading the second book that came out in February. So I am happy that I managed to do that. Book 2 is Grass by Kim Suk-Jinri Kim. I rated this 4 stars. This is a graphic novel, fiction memoir that follows the true story of a Korean comfort woman as the author documents the atrocity of that war has on people's lives, and just talking about a history of the woman who was a comfort woman. I read this for the Koreadathon hosted by Books with Chloe and Monica Kim. This was the first book from this author that I had read, and it was originally translated from Korean, I believe. And I really thought this is such an impactful story that needed to be told, and that everyone should definitely read. I highly recommend it. Book 2 that I read for Koreadathon is The Red Palace by June Her. I listened to this as an audiobook, and I believe this is a standalone historical fiction novel set in 1758 that follows a woman who's an illegitimate daughter of a high-ranking official. She becomes a healer in the palace, and she becomes pretty much an assistant to an investigation that's happening to a lot of the healer woman that's in the palace, and she is helping the investigator find who's the cause of these murders. I gave this 3 stars. I enjoyed the plot of it. Was really interesting. It's just the way that it was handled. It seemed like it was missing out on a lot of information, or it could have been a little bit more, so I felt like it was lacking a little bit. But overall, the narrator did a really good job of telling the story and giving the characters their own voice. So I definitely recommend that if you are looking for a historical fiction type of novel. Book 3, I read The Waiting by Kim Suk-Jinri Kim. This is her second novel. This is another graphic memoir that it's a fictionalized version of her mother's story of being separated from her sister during the Korean Wars, and things like just being separated from her family in general due to the Korean Wars. I happened to come across this when I went to my library to pick up some books, and didn't realize that Grass was the author's debut novel, and so I went ahead and picked up The Waiting and read it for Koreadathon, and I gave that 4 stars as well. It's definitely another hard-hitting graphic novel. I feel like I kind of can resonate more with graphic novel memoirs than I can with normal memoirs, because with graphic novels you at least get a picture or an idea of how the world it was at that time, even if it is a slightly fictionalized version of it. But I definitely do recommend reading The Waiting and Grass if you are looking for any kind of like graphic memoir type books. And my last book for Readathon was Xoxo by Xoxo. This is a contemporary young adult novel that follows a cello prodigy who meets a boy that she doesn't realize is a K-pop star, and she ends up moving to Korea with her mother so they can take care of her ailing grandmother. And it tells her story about her time in Korea and how she finds out about this boy that she met. I gave it 3 stars. It was definitely, I think if I read this when I was younger, if it came out when I was younger in high school when I was reading a bunch of contemporary type novels, I probably would have enjoyed it more. 3 stars is generally a decent review for me. It's kind of in the middle when it comes to my ratings. It is one that I recommend to people if they're interested into that genre. It just wasn't, it didn't tick all my boxes, but I definitely thought it was a cute story and it was a quick read for me, so I do recommend that. And with that being the last book that I read for Readathon, I definitely think I ended it in a good note because it was such a lighthearted type of book. My next read was for the Final Book Support Group, and I have a separate spoiler-filled reading vlog that is coming out soon, or by the time you've seen this, it should come out the Sunday after, hopefully, if I get this up in time. But House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, I gave this 4 stars, or I think Really Pile pulled it up as like 4.5 stars. I didn't love it as much as the first one, but there was definitely quite a of what the fuck moments for me in this book, so I highly recommend watching that spoiler-filled vlog if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts. But I am glad I got a pre-order copy of this and read it when I did, because I am really interested in seeing how she finishes off the series like this. And I also read this for the Magical Readathon's Aurelian Gear Up, the like week-long like mini readathon. I think I read this as the prompt for my conduit, which is a staff, which I believe the prompt was a book from a series. So I'm glad I got that done. My other Magical Readathon book that I finished for my legacy of Ring of Protection read in middle grade was Bright Storm by Vashti Hardy. This is also the middle grade monthly pick for March. I gave this 3 stars as well. I definitely enjoyed the aspect of the spaceships or skyships and the piratey aspect to it as well. I definitely also loved the disability rep that is in this book, with one of the main characters having a prosthetic arm. So if you're looking for a book that has disability rep, I definitely suggest this. It was such a fast-paced book that I was surprised when I had finished it. I could have actually, I think the reason why it got a 3 stars is it felt like I could have a little bit more, but I think, yeah, Bright Storm is part of a series, so I'm interested in seeing what the next book brings. So I definitely would like to get my hands on the next book if it's out, or if not, when it comes out. And then I read City of Ashes and then City of Glass by Cassandra Clare to catch up with the By the Angel along. These were rereads for me. I've read these at least 2 or 3 times already, so my thoughts haven't veered off too much of it. They were quick and easy reads. But yeah, and those, I think both of those I gave have standard 3-star ratings. Yeah. But But yeah, that's all the books that I had read in the month of March. Let me know in the comments below what you guys have read for the month of March. Did you guys participate in any readathons that I mentioned? If so, let me know what you read in the comments below. And like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to keep up to date with any other videos that I happen to come up with. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.